I mean, I think it's one of those things that you don't know what you don't know. But I do think that Coach Agnew, and one of my favorite parts about working under him was that, in the process of me getting hired here as his assistant, we had discussed like my next move was going to be, in a head coaching position, whether here or anywhere else. So Coach Agnew did a tremendous job giving me a peek behind the curtain as to, like the administrative day-to-day operations of the program. So in the summer, it was kind of the interim and kind of keeping things afloat. That was really the most important thing, making sure, administratively all our duties were taken care of. And that part of it has ended up being a much more seamless transition than what I initially anticipated it to be. On field, we'll find out in May, I guess, once we've played all our games. I think every season's essentially a grand experiment. I'm really hard to play for. The demand is high, the accountability is high, the discipline's high. To do things at a championship level, it takes what it takes. The cost is what it is, and we're going to be willing to pay the price, right? But within that, I also love the guys really, really hard. I'm willing to bet and I know for a fact, there's a lot of people in this business that, baseball skill, X's and O's are a lot better at me than a lot of things. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a head coach or a coaching staff that's going to love their players the way that we love our players. Now, in game, what you're going to see as a fan, hopefully you see somebody that's cool, calm, and collected, but you never really know. I think as a head coach, you've got to put yourself in a position and conduct yourself in a manner that's going to allow the team to have success. Sometimes it may mean me just standing in the corner of the dugout for however many innings we're out there. Sometimes guys might need a fire lit under the rear end. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes, push whatever buttons I got to push to help put our student athletes in a position to be successful. Coach Chop is my right hand. I think with Coach Chapa, I could have maybe found somebody with more experience and some other qualities, but my favorite head coaches that I work for, the things that they valued most were hard work and loyalty. Not only to the head coach, but to the program and to the university. And I think Coach Chapa exemplifies that extremely well. The guy's 4-year starter here. He's a saint. I mean, you poke a hole in the dude and he's going to bleed royal and white. I've been very, very happy, been very excited about what he's brought to the table. We have a UGA, an undergraduate assistant named Josh Kalunga. Josh played in the program for a couple years, and he runs our outfield now and helps out with the offense. AJ Gonzalez, another former player, he's helping me out with the pitching staff. He's in a part-time role. Easton Lopez is new to the staff this year. He's helping us out with the infielders. Easton, we have some similar ties and connections. He played his college baseball up north. Funny enough, the head coach that he played for at Northern State is the youngest brother of my old boss at Mayville, where I was at before we got here. Yeah, our chaplain, Father Chris, he's awesome. He's awesome. It's kind of funny because, I'm a Protestant. We're at a Catholic university, and our chaplain's an Episcopalian minister, which I think is really, really cool. And it's one of the beautiful things about Our Lady of the Lake is while we are a Catholic institution, we're very open, very accepting of all walks of life and all belief systems. Father Chris, he's fabulous for the boys. He accepts them for who they are, where they're at. Loves them very, very hard, and he's always there to serve us. He's really been an excellent resource for me because he's somebody that I trust to give me just an objective answer. We've talked a lot about the reason why I got into this profession and why I chose this career, and he's really good at holding me accountable and keeping me kind of in between the lines and in line with my vision and everything that I want for us. We believe that if we do things our way, play our brand of baseball and, meet a lot of the checkpoints and do a lot of things that we talk about, we're going to have success. We talk about competing against the game more so than we do competing against the scoreboard. Baseball is a game like most sports, but especially in baseball, I feel like more games are lost than they are won. So our goal as a team is to do the little things well, control what we can control, and more often than not, things are going to play out in our favor if we do everything, within our control. Yeah, so our non-conference schedule is pretty tough. We open up, like you said, against USAO. They're going to be ranked in the top 20. The next weekend, we got Central Methodist University coming in, another top 20 opponent, and then we got Ottawa, who for a midweek, and they were again ranked, made the national tournament, and then Bethany was right there in the conversation for making the national tournament out of the KCAC. So, 3 of our first 4 opponents this year were in the national tournament last year, and then again Bethany's right there, quality team from a quality league. We choose to play the non-conference schedule that we do because our goal as a program is to win championships and be relevant at the national level. And so I think it's really important for our team to see what that looks like, right? And that's the standard we coach to day in and day out. Whether we're playing, a team that's going to be there in May in the national tournament, or we're playing X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter to us really. I believe the standard's the standard, but it is really important to give us a good, a good test, a good exam, check mark, checkpoint, whatever, what have you, before we get into conference, and let us know how we stack up against teams that feel pretty certain are going to be there in the national tournament. Oh gosh, obviously Shreveport's going to be up there. They've kind of run the show in the Red River for a long time, and have a tremendous amount of respect for those people up there in Shreveport. Really, I think the Red River Conference as a whole is pretty solid. There's not, I'm not going to speak a ton about everybody else, but speaking for the Saints, we can't afford to ever let the foot off the gas pedal, and we can't afford to ever take an opponent lightly. So the conference schedule is going to be, could be tough, and honestly, I hope it is, because the tougher our conference is, the better that is for all of us in the Red River. Yeah, in general with this senior class, I think we're going to have somewhere between 11 and 13 guys that are going to graduate out of the program this year. Of that 11 to 13, I want to say like 7 to 9 of them could come back for another year because they still got like COVID eligibility left over and stuff. But those guys are finished with their degree, and for us, that's mission accomplished. And I think that's, this senior class, this is going to be the winningest class to ever come through the program. This is going to be the class that's, seniors that, they really, 5 years ago were all freshmen starting together and kind of taking their lumps. And, these guys, again, like I said, hopefully are going to end up being the winningest class to come through the program. They won the program's first conference championship, saw their first trip to the national tournament. But like I said, I think the really cool thing is that all these guys are graduating in the spring, either with their bachelor's or their master's. And for us, that's the most important thing. I tell every recruit that comes to our office, priority number 1 for your time at OLLU is to have us see you walk across that stage in 4 to 5 years with that piece of paper in hand. And we're going to see these guys do it. Some of them are going to be first-generation graduates. And for me, as the coach and leader of this program, I think that's the most important thing. So with this senior class, that's probably what we're the most excited about. We've got some guys coming back that I think are going to be big contributors. Some guys back that are healthy that missed a lot of time last year due to injury, and we're just excited to see what they can do for their last trip. Yeah, I think we'll have several guys that'll have an impact. As the coach on staff last year who was the recruiting coordinator, I would like to think we brought in a really good class, but that remains to be seen. I feel like we shored up some issues that we had on the infield last year. Brought in some pitchers that are going to help add some depth to our staff. Some guys are going to help offensively. Credit to the returners from last year's bunch. The new guys have fit in seamlessly. After only 2-3 weeks on the team, you really couldn't tell anymore just looking at them who was a new guy and who was a returner. So I think that speaks a lot to the culture of our program. I think it's vitally important. One of the coolest things about my job is I get to offer student athletes the opportunity to achieve a dream, right? For a lot of us growing up, playing college baseball, is your dream. So like that part's really cool. The other part that's really cool is we can take, as coaches in the recruiting process, we can take more chances on student athletes, right? Because we don't have to, worry about keeping a hard cap at, say 40, 45, 50. We do have a little bit more of an expanded roster. So you can take a chance on a guy and see how he's going to develop 1, 2, 3 years down the road. And that's really, really cool to watch that growth and that develop, because along with the skill development as a ball player, if you're going to make that jump, you've probably seen a lot of growth and development as a man. And for us, that's paramount in our program. We talk every day about, if you train the man, the ball player is going to follow. So getting to see our guys kind of live that out is a really, really cool thing to watch. Oh, it's incredibly important. Like I kind of alluded to earlier, I think it's the most important thing. We could have a student athlete come through our program, do great on the field, do phenomenal things on the field, but if he doesn't leave here with a degree that says Our Lady of the Lake University, we're going to feel like we failed that student athlete. And fortunately, that's one of the things I'm most excited to continue the tradition of through Coach Ogne's tenure is our graduation rate under Coach Ogne was incredibly, incredibly high. We've only had one semester in the last 5 years where our team GPA has been below a 3.0. And that's something we really, really hang our hat on. While most of our student athletes do come from San Antonio, the Corpus area, 361 down in the valley, a lot of them do come though from families that have to work a lot, and it's not always easy to make it up here to San Antonio for a home game. And the fact that they never have to miss a home game is really important for us, especially in the recruiting process. And I know it means a lot to our players and their families. Hopefully we can put a good product on the field for them. I think one of the most attractive things, when I was looking at becoming a Saint, really, as a head coach or as an assistant coach and now the head coach, was the amount of support that we get at our games. Like I mentioned, most of our guys are from within a 3 or 4 hour radius, so the attendance that we have is really, really good, and it's not your normal small college like moms and girlfriends only. Like we have real fans that come to the game, and I fully expect to be called to the carpet on some things if we're not playing well, because I've seen it happen, and I think that's awesome, right? Like it just shows that our fans are passionate and then they care about Saints baseball, and that's an exciting thing to be a part of.